And good evening, everybody. Live stream number 2 for the day. Disney had a huge announcement a couple days ago that has a lot of the Disney community in a little bit of an uproar here. So, we're going to talk about it, the brand new Lightning Lane Premier Pass. What is it? How does it work? How much does it cost? What are people saying? And what do I think about it? And it's going to be interesting to see how people respond to all of that. Yeah. So Disney announced a brand new addition to their Lightning Lane program. It's called Plus. It is not replacing any of the other Lightning Lane features or Genie Plus. It's not changing any of that. None of that has anything else happening. It is just an additional option that is available out there. It becomes available on October 23rd at Disneyland and October 30th at Walt Disney World. And basically, what it does is it allows you for every ride in the park that has a Lightning Lane available, the new version of FastPass, if it has a Lightning Lane entrance available, then you would be allowed to use that one time without scheduling. So everything with Lightning Lane, you've got free access to one time. Don't need to schedule it. Don't need to dig into the app. Don't need to have a return time. You could just come when you want to ride it. It would kind of bring back to the people who pay for it the ability to go where they want, when they want, and not have to schedule their day out according to what's available in the Lightning Lane. That's essentially what it is. It is limited to a very small number of guests every day. That was one thing that's been emphasized is there is a limit on how many people can get it, and it's not a big number. Also, the park hopper is not available with it at Walt Disney World. Disneyland would have a park hopper option available, but Disney World, it is only good for the one park that one day. That's it. So basically, what it does is it takes Lightning Lane and opens it up for you. Instead of having a limited number of Lightning Lanes that you get to use during that day because of how they work out with scheduling, you can use unlimited every single ride in the park once. Every single ride that has Lightning Lane. Let me make sure that's clear. So, for example, Magic Kingdom, I think, has like 20 different rides on Lightning Lane. It would let you go to every single one of those without having to schedule. If you use the regular Lightning Lane app in your phone, you have to go through essentially kind of a Lightning Lane lottery, see what's available, what times are available, and pick a time and a ride. And then you can't get another one until after you have used that. So you're kind of limited just because of logistic concerns. That's the biggest difference. Um, not limited to time, not limited to wait time stuff, but go when you want. So here's the big kicker. It sounds like a great feature. It's awesome. Here's the costs because it does vary based on the park you're at. Disney's Animal Kingdom, it's going to range from $130, $129 and change. So $130 to $200 plus tax. One person, one day. So this is all per person per day costs. Epcot, it's $170 to $250 per person per day. Hollywood Studios, you go $270 to $350 per person per day. Magic Kingdom is $330 to $450 each person each day. Disneyland out in California, Disneyland DCA is going to be $400 a person per day. But again, you can hop. That's for the holidays. Once the new year hits, they're talking about ranging between $300 and $400. That's a lot of money. That is huge. So let me give you some comparisons here. Universal Express, which is basically a very similar program, starts off at about $90 a day in Florida and goes up to about $289. It's a little bit cheaper depending upon the park, and it actually has park hopper options available as well. Um, Out in California, Universal starts at $80 a day. When we went to Paramount's Kings Island, which is a Cedar Fair park, we paid, if I remember right, it was about $140 a day to get them on a Saturday there. So again, a little bit cheaper. So wonderful gaming. That sounds like it's more than the ticket. Yes, yes, it is. Absolutely. But then so was the ones at Kings Island. We paid a lot more for that than we did for the ticket. Depending upon the day you go to Universal, it's more than the ticket to get in. That's not unusual for this kind of a pass. Not at all. And that's kind of an industry thing. So you've got this extreme cost, but you have a very limited number of them available for sale. And it opens up a feature range. It's not aimed at the regular park guest. It is aimed at those that want more than the regular Lightning Lane, but don't want to pay for the full VIP tour, but they've got the money to burn. And depending upon the size of your group, it's possible the VIP tour might actually be a little bit cheaper. If you've got a bigger group, yeah, pay for the VIP tour because it gives you the same kind of access and unlimited times and things like that. So it's basically, it should not have any impact on the lines because the numbers being sold are small. So if you've got 1,000 people online and you've got a group of 10 that comes in, it's not going to affect it. The system of Universal, which honestly is the most comparable, really does not affect the lines at all. We've used it. We've also been at Universal Parks when we didn't use it, and the numbers that we're using the Express Pass were so small it didn't affect anything at all. So it's aimed at those that are willing to spend more money, not the regular guests. And that's something to keep in mind. So Parker, is it just for the wealthy guests? Not necessarily wealthy, but the people who want to spend more. Maybe they've saved up more. Maybe they've got more money. So yes, there's a lot of people very upset because essentially here is this feature and I can't afford it. It's not aimed at me. And that's just it. It's not aimed at 99.5% of the guests. And that's essentially what it comes down to. So why have it? Because you do have a percentage of guests that want extra features. Why do you have a Grand Floridian hotel and Pop Century? I mean, isn't that not fair? I mean, look at the exorbitant prices they're charging for the Grand Floridian versus Pop Century. But it's because you've got a different expense value, people pursuing different things. Same thing with the restaurants. Why do you have an Albert and Victoria's versus a Flame Tree Barbecue? I mean, the price difference is ridiculous. It's crazy. But Albert and Victoria's isn't for the regular park guests. And you know what? That's okay. So, Parker, it's like Mark Cuban's family can use it, the average Joe can't. Pretty much. And I don't know. For me, okay, I'm never going to get to use it because I don't have that kind of money and I can't afford it. But it's not going to affect me at all. So, not a bit. And that's basically what it comes down to. Andrea, do you know the new pass will include Lightning Lane single pass rides? If it has a Lightning Lane entrance, they can use that Lightning Lane entrance once. That's it as a core. Doesn't matter if it's a single rider or whatever. If they've got this pass, they can use the Lightning Lane entrance on that ride once. And then if they want to ride again, single rider or whatever, that's fine. It is completely separate from all the other systems. It's a brand new thing. Okay. So why is the price so ridiculously high? Well, keep in mind attendance numbers. Of the top 5 parks in the U.S., attendance-wise, Disney's 4 of them. So the most attended parks, the largest crowds, the biggest number of people, Disney's 4 of the top 5. 4 horsemen. Additionally, if you look at the top 9, Disney is 6 of the top 9. Their 4 U.S. parks are pretty much the most attended parks in the country outside of Universal Studios. Their numbers are so much bigger that, yeah, they've got this huge crowd that can be, that are paying a lot of money. So you offer features, expensive features, as an option to those that can afford them. Yeah, it's not for the regular park guests. Parker, can it be used for character meet and greets? Here we go. If it has a lightning lane entrance, it can be used once. that's that's it summed up. So anything, can it be used for this? Can it be used for that? Um, does it have a lightning lane entrance? There's your answer. So yes, most park goers are not going to be able to use it. Most park goers are not going to be able to afford it. They're still going to have the choice between the regular lightning lane or going free, just like they do now. There's a lot of people that are frustrated because it's a money grab from those wanting to spend more money. Sure, it is. Universal and Cedar Fair and the Hershey parks and Busch, they've all been doing the same thing for years. Disney has actually been kind of unusual in that they haven't been doing it. They've had the system in place, but they've never done this kind of an expensive catered experience like the others have. And I mean, you've heard me over the years on different things. Why not? Why don't they have a system like Universal's? If people want to pay for it and it's not going to affect the regular park goer, why haven't they put it in? So they finally decided to put it in. And that's basically what it is. Let's see. Do I think it will be in the international parks eventually? Japan, more than likely, no, because Japan is owned by the Oriental. I almost said Oriental Trade Company, which is that nice cheap catalog and stuff. Japan has different owners that they split with Disney, so I don't think it will show up there, but never say never. I do think that this is going to run here in the US, and they may test it in the others. Different countries, different crowds, different expectations. It's really hard to say. So we will have to see how that all works out. But here in the US, yeah, it's here to stay. So one of the major differences, though, between the Universal system and the Disney system, if you stay at a Universal resort, you get their express pass thrown on free. And that's one of the things that a lot of people were hoping Disney would do. But Universal has 3 resorts for 3 parks. Disney has 21 resorts, might even be more than that now, for 4 parks. The numbers are huge compared. So you can't, it's not really a comparison because you're basically talking about 20,000 people versus 2,000. Just an incredibly large number. So that's basically what's going on. So what they're doing is they're adding an extra tier in there. You've got the free tier. You have the slightly more expensive tier. That's aimed at everybody. That's pretty much anybody who wants to use it. If you want a little extra, you pay for the other one. If you've got money to burn, hey, here is this tier for only a few. And it's not going to affect these others. That's the one thing that I really want to emphasize. Tweetsy saying, I've got to be honest, if this was the only system, it'd be pretty good. Personally, I'd love to see the rest of it scrapped as well, because that is what kills your lines. Though the other lightning lanes, because if you pay for a lightning lane for Tron, and then you have another lightning lane booked for Buzz Lightyear, and then you're in line for Jungle Cruise, you're in line for 3 things at once. That is what's killing your standby lines, not this. Because this, you're still in one line at a time. You're not taking up multiple spots. And that's the biggest difference. If they were to take this like Universal does, scrap all the rest of it, the lines would move faster, the wait times would go down. Personally, I kind of hope this is a step in that direction. Plus, if they got rid of the other lightning lane, people would get off of this in the park and actually look around and see the parks again. So that's basically what the difference is. So Parker, imagine something like this in Six Flags or Hershey parks. It's already there. They all have this same thing already. I've used it at Kings Island. It's for sale at all of them. Hershon Parks calls it the Trailblazer. That's exactly what it is this exact same type of thing. So Disney is actually about the last theme park company that is bringing this in. They're slow on this one. They played with the free fast pass system. They played with Genie Plus, but they've never had a premium skip the line experience like everybody else does. So that's basically what they're doing is they finally went, you know what? Everybody else has had huge success with this. Why aren't we? Yeah. So that's basically what's going on. Uh, Piplup James mentions Defunctland, the Lines video. So for those who don't understand how regular Lightning Lane and Fast Pass affects the lines, this is a great reference for you. Defunctland has a wonderful, it's about an hour and a half long video on the history of Fast Pass and Lightning Lane. And it talks about how that system affects your standby lines and kills them. You want to know why your wait times are long? This is what it is. It's the regular system, not the new Premier Pass. That's not going to do it. So, yeah, that's basically what to look at. Beth, glad to see you're doing well. It's concerned about the lack of videos. Yeah, sorry about that. My last 2 weeks have been insane. And just time to do stuff just has not been there. So sorry about that nice little gap, but hey, we got 3 in 2 days. How's that to make up for it? Dolly would also let you buy for just one ride as well as a time saver for all. So if you think of the one ride, skip the line, think of that as Lightning Lane at Disneyland or Disney. That's kind of that system where you can pay for the premier rides if you want. You can pay for just Tron, or you could pay for whatever the major ride is at that park. You can pick just one ride and do that, or you can pay for multiple rides with Lightning Lane, or you could really fork out the bucks and pay for this, or you don't have to pay anything. So it does have that option available. So you can pick the expensive rides, you can pick multiple, or you can spend for this. Like I said, having experienced multiple parks that have this new kind of system in place, and they have for years, it doesn't affect the wait times because the numbers of people using it are so small. So that basically kind of covers a lot of that. Hollow Thrifty, but Dollywood has cheaper gate price. Dollywood doesn't have 15 million people a year visit it. Dollywood is a great park, but it is not in the top 10 parks visited. It doesn't come close. Dollywood has, I think it's about a third of the attendance of just Magic Kingdom. And that's why Disney is so much more expensive. It's that good old economics, supply and demand. There's much more demand for Disney, so the prices are higher. And unless Disney's attendance were to drop, and by the way, it went up like 10% last year, unless their attendance takes a massive drop, their prices aren't going anywhere. They're going to keep going up because there's still the demand. I love the old Yogi Berra line. Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. And that's basically what's going on. You can't argue with those kinds of numbers. So it's one of those things, where sure, Silver Dollar City's Trailblazer is a whole lot cheaper. Silver Dollar City has an attendance of about 1.5 million a year. They're a tenth of what Disney World's attendance or any park at Disney World is. So, hey, it's a tenth. What if they extrapolate that and they made it equivalent and then they charge 10 times? Well, now that's a whole different story. So that's why it's so much cheaper. It's just supply and demand. So, and so lots of other ideas. Sweetie's throwing out ideas in there. Personally, my whole deal, this system, I like the pay for, the expensive pay, and I just scrap all the rest. I remember the days before all of these line skipping things came in and being able to do every single ride in the park on one day. I grew up at Disneyland back in the 70s and 80s and 90s before this happened. And we'd have one day at Disneyland and we would cover just about every single ride. And I can tell you, my first time at Disneyland, there were two rides we did not do. Two, only two. And that was the Casey Jr. train and the Dumbo ride. And I know we didn't do them because I was mad we didn't do those and we did everything else. You can't do that anymore. You go to any of the Disney parks and the number of experiences, what they call rides and attractions, the number of experiences that people experience today on average is like a third of what it was 20 years ago, around the time they introduced Fast Pass. And it has been going down ever since. So, yeah, all the parks make money, but the ones that do the best are the ones that don't impact the actual wait times. And that's the problem. So, let's see here. Yeah, Beth, husband having to get around via scooter or wheelchair. A trip to the zoo wore me out. So, Beth, check out my video on experiencing Disney World on a scooter. You can rent them. It's so you're not having to push anybody, and it's great. I wear out now thanks to health stuff. So, but check that out. So, Tweetsy, people are going to complain about this first if the other two options are removed. So they're not going to get removed. It's not affecting that right now. But I do think that, yes, as you say, once they realize how much quicker the standby lines went, they would. So, Hollow Thrifty, the attendance has dropped at Walt Disney World. Sorry, according to several different journals that keep track of attendance, their estimates that Disney World's attendance last year went up between 8 and 17%. They have been struggling a little bit this year, not anywhere near drastic enough to actually affect their prices. The estimates I've seen for 24 is that they might be down 2 or 3%, which still puts them higher numbers than what they had in 22. So it's nothing that's going to actually drop actual numbers. So, Disfan, is it more than penny pinching, nickel and diming? How are these executives making these decisions? Thank you so much, Disfan, for asking. I appreciate it. Again, every other park chain out there has this already and has had it for years. They've been looking at the other parks and going, wow, they're making money. It doesn't impact guest experience. It's an improvement for the ones that spend the premium amount, but it doesn't bother anybody else because it doesn't affect actual wait times. Why are we not doing this? It's pretty much this is not a penny pinching, nickel and diming. Lightning Lane absolutely is. It's charging you to wait in a extended line because they've extended the line because of Lightning Lane. This is a system that allows a small, limited number of people access to a shorter wait, but it does not affect anybody else. So, hey, when you see every other theme park chain out there doing it and making big money off it, why wouldn't you? Parker, does this affect DAS in any way? Completely different systems. It shouldn't have any effect at all. DAS, I know there's been a lot of issues, a lot of people who should be getting it and are not, contrary to my original prediction video a while back. But this is completely separate. This is people wanting to spend money to skip lines versus people who are not able to wait in lines. Completely separate, unrelated, except they're both Disney things. So no, it will have absolutely no effect on DAS. Not any more than VIP tours have affected DAS. So, but happy to answer any other questions at all. By the way, thank you, Parker and Disfan. I know, Parker, you've been asking that a little bit, and I wanted to make sure I got everything summed up first before I got to that. So, of all the skip the line things that Disney has done over the years, and I've hated most of them, I knew how to use them. I knew how to take advantage of Fast Pass so that I could get benefit from it while the people who didn't know got stuck in longer lines. But this is what I've been saying the whole time. Do I think the price of up to $450 is too much? Supply and demand. If they sell their tickets out every day at this price, nope. If that is what the market is willing to pay, then that is the price. again, they're not selling very many of them. Um, if I'm going to use universal numbers and just make a guess, you're talking a few hundred tops versus a small crowd at Magic Kingdom is 35,000 people. So if you got a few hundred people willing to spend that, no, it's not too much. Again, this is not aimed at the regular guests, not at all. Uh, so you're not going to be able to afford it because it's not aimed at you any more than Victoria and Albert's is aimed at you, or the Grand Floridian Penthouse Suite is aimed at you. I look at the Grand Floridian Penthouse Suite at $1,500 a night. Okay, is that too much? Well, it's outside my budget, but for the people that would stay there, no, it's not. Victoria and Albert's is like $200 a person. I'm not going to pay that. So what I've heard, only deluxe resort guests, basically it's starting off with only DVC people as they first open it up, and then they will open it up again a little bit later to other guests. This is just the first initial test run, brand new program. Let's see how it works and make sure that it's going to work right first. But that is basically why it's limited. They'll open it up a little bit later, but I would expect that this is probably not going to be something offered to off-property guests. It will probably remain as a DVC and the deluxe resort guests. It won't even get down to value resorts, I'm sure. The people that have money, they're going to be the ones spending on this anyways. So why offer it to somebody who's only spending $80 a night for their hotel room? They're not going to be paying this anyways. It's not in their budget. So that makes sense to limit to the appropriate audience. Disfane, how does it match up to the Express Pass at Universal? Very favorably. It's essentially the same kind of system, except it's not free to the resort guests. They still have to pay for it. Universal's is a little bit cheaper, $90 to $290 a day. Like I said, when I did Universal's, I think we paid $150 a person to use it the couple times we did, and we felt that was worth it because it was the only way for us to be able to do everything we wanted to. And that was at the time that we had the money. If we didn't have the money, we wouldn't have paid it. To give you an idea, Disney's ranges from 130 at the lowest at Animal Kingdom up to about 450. It is much more expensive, but again, the crowd numbers are far, far larger. So when you got a whole lot more people demanding, you raise the prices to match that demand and cut down how many people would buy it. So that's basically what it comes down to. Suzanne, daughter went to Tokyo Disney and said it was magical. Oh, one of these years. I thought I was going to get there, and then COVID killed it. So, but and Ryan also mentions only 3 resort hotels at Universal that theirs applies to. Disney has 21. So again, it's not something that really can work that way. So I know a lot of people are upset. Basically, the biggest reason people are upset is the price. Why are they upset at the price? Because they can't afford it. And when it comes down to it, it was never meant for them to be able to afford, because it's not aimed. It's aimed at an upper elite crowd that's kind of choosing between, do I want a VIP tour or do I want something that I can do my own thing? That's essentially what it balances out to. It comes down to. So am I ever going to get to partake of it? No. And I'm okay. It won't affect me. It's not going to affect 99.99% of guests at Walt Disney World or Disneyland. It won't impact their lines. It won't impact their experience. It's not going to come out of their budget. It's not going to change anything. So why fuss over it? Just like I probably will never eat at Victoria and Albert's. Doesn't affect me at all. Doesn't affect my visit. That's okay. So I hope that answers everybody's questions about what it is, how it works, and what it's going to be doing. And would love to, if you've got more questions, more comments, please share them in the comments below. Chat, of course, will cut off here in just a minute. But I hope that reassures you a little bit that, it's not aimed at us regular park goers, but it's not going to nickel and dime us. It's not going to affect our weights. It's not going to do anything that hurts our trips at all. It just offers something that those who've got money, it gives them an extra perk. And you know what? If they got it, that's fine. So, Dino Fury, it is not replacing anything. Nothing's getting replaced. Nothing's getting changed. It's an additional feature. It's a brand new option that is in addition to everything there. Nothing else is changing. So, hope that answers your questions and concerns. It puts you a little bit more at ease. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I know it should be fun watching some of the comments later, people going, "You're an idiot. How could you support this?" I think actually the whole thing should be like this. But anyways, I'd love to hear it. Even if you disagree with me, even if you think I'm a goofus, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so incredibly much for watching and joining me, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful evening. God bless.